What's up, everyone? It's Russo. I hope everyone is doing well. Please follow my Instagram at RussoLifts, just in case something happens to this YouTube channel. You can follow, message, and you can watch my daily story content on Instagram. I'll see you there. What's up, everyone? It's Russo. I hope everyone is doing well. Today's topic video, I wanted to talk about Dorian Yates, a 6-time Mr. Olympia, and personally my favorite Mr. Olympia. Just a little background on Dorian is he was nicknamed the Shadow, and he was very tunnel visioned. I really like his mentality. That's why I studied his persona a lot. I really liked how he was not about the fame, right? He literally just went in like a shadow, won the show, and left. Kept the mystery to him and went on to be one of the most dominant Mr. Olympias of all time. Obviously, you know, Coleman and Heath, way more consecutive wins, but back in the day, in my opinion, there was a lot more competition than there is in these days. But he changed the game forever. Bodybuilding forever was changed from him. So when we go to the old school, gold school, the aesthetics, Frank Zane, Columbo, Arnold, every physique that, you know, people say, oh, I miss the golden era physiques. You know, why are they, like, what happened to bodybuilding? Why did bodybuilding go to, you know, when you look at modern bodybuilders now, they're bloated all the time in the off season, and the looks, the lines are much more ruined, in my opinion, and then the bloated guts, and then overall, the non-aesthetic look, more of a blocky look, seemed to have taken over because of general size. Then, you know, back in the day, it was more about V-taper and aesthetics, which, in my opinion, most people, most dudes would want to achieve a look like Arnold or Frank Zane over someone like Dorian. Personally, even though I'm a fan of bodybuilding and I'm into bodybuilding a lot, I wouldn't like to look like Dorian. I don't want to get that big. So I still respect to get to that. I don't think people have any idea what it takes to achieve an IFBB Pro open bodybuilding physique. It's insane, the mentality, but I just respect the mentality, right? I'm not trying to look like that, and that's how most people feel, I feel like, about bodybuilding nowadays. But why did it go that way? Why did it change from aesthetics, V-taper shape, class, you know, posing, stage presence? Why did it switch towards mass? Because of Dorian. How did Dorian do it? Dorian was the first to showcase what human growth hormone plus insulin plus steroids could do. So before Dorian, and Dorian wasn't the only one experimenting with HGH and insulin at the time on top of steroids, but he was the one who made it a thing because of his dominant wins. Back in the day, Arnold, Frank Zane, you know, they would cycle steroids. They would blast into the show, then pyramid off after the show, go cold turkey for a while, the next show blast into the show. That was how they did it back in the day. They didn't really know how androgens worked, and that was the way they decided to do it, which was pyramiding style. So this is going to lead to way less overall mass because people nowadays, they maintain a constant androgen level all the time. So you can maintain a max amount of muscle on a constant androgen level. So you'll notice these mass monster people, these big people, they'll constantly creep their cruise dosages up as they get bigger. So they're still coming down and going up, blasting and cruising, but they're constantly on an androgen that's able to hold more tissue, an androgen level that can hold more tissue than, you know, coming off cold turkey, going back to stock hormones, and then going back on. Now, Dorian, when he competed, he was competing against people like Lee Haney. So Lee Haney had a much prettier physique. Lee Haney also had better muscle insertions, in my opinion, yet Dorian still won. Dorian still won because of insulin, HGH plus anabolics. Dorian realized that he was not as pretty. He was a blockier physique, but he could beat them with mass. And when you include the hyperplasia effect of HGH and the nutrient partitioning effect of insulin in combination with anabolics, you're going to lead to a lot more muscle mass than you could with just standard anabolics. This is why it got to a point where Dorian, when the show turned around, when they turned around and showed their backs, your eye was automatically drawn to Dorian's back just due to the sheer size, thickness, and density. And through insulin HGH plus anabolics, he created the path that bodybuilding took after that, which is towards mass. He couldn't beat the prettier, better genetic people, so he found a way, and that's why I like Dorian, because he was so fixated. Didn't even matter that he wasn't, as gifted, in my opinion, as Lee Haney. He still found a way, and he still outworked him, and he still, outscienced him, if you want to call it that, with the combination. But that's why bodybuilding changed. A lot of people don't understand why it changed and why the look overall on the IFBB Pro level changed, and why people don't understand water retention. I get a lot of questions about how my face has water retention when I'm bulking and all this stuff. And that's from HGH, right? That's from 677 being a GH secretagogue and you having to deal with that. When you look at pro bodybuilders nowadays in the off season, they look bloated. They're full of insulin, HGH, and tons of food. And they don't look like, they don't look good until the day they step on stage when they're as shredded as possible. That is the level it's gotten to. And the amount of GH required nowadays is ridiculous if you want to become an IFBB Pro at the open level, in my opinion. So just take that with a grain of salt. Like when people think, oh, that guy's just on steroids, like, no. There's like just on SARMs only, that's a look you could achieve. And there's like steroids only, that's a look you can achieve. And then steroids plus HGH plus insulin, that's maxing out. And then you could even throw in myostatin inhibitors on top. That's in the extreme upper part of open heavyweight bodybuilding. It's not just steroids. It's a combination of all this polypharmacy that goes into all the different growth pathways, right? Not just the androgen pathway. A lot of people are fixated on the androgen pathway when in reality, it's all these variables that add up. And Dorian was really the first one to show all these different pathways to muscle building, which was insulin nutrient partitioning and GH hyperplasia, creation of new permanent muscle cells that really, showcase that there's a higher level. And then myostatin inhibitors, in my opinion, showcase an even higher level. So that's why Dorian changed bodybuilding forever. And he did it through, better science, better chemistry. And that's how he became 6-time consecutive champ based on pure mass, and started the mass monster movement, which led to Coleman and then Heath, Ramy. Those are the top of the top. And that's why it switched from aesthetics to mass, because naturally your eye is going to be drawn towards someone a lot bigger, in my opinion. No matter how dialed you are, if you have more density, size, separation, and you just have overall more mass, like Dorian's meaty, freaky back from the HGH and insulin, all that new muscle cells built there, compared to someone who is just using steroids only, who doesn't have a hyperplasia effect, your eye is going to be drawn to Dorian's over the other person. So that's just some 2 cents and some insight on the upper level of bodybuilding, how insane it gets.